No, it's horse beef. What is going on, everybody? I'm talking about UFC 324, which took place last night, man, and what a card it was. It was pretty fun, dude. It was pretty fun. The main event specifically really delivered, like a Justin Gaethje fight always does. Good thing that Paddy Pimblett could eat some of those shots, even though it looked pretty dicey for him in the first round, right? He was getting hurt. I think with the first couple of shots that Justin landed, Paddy was on skates, dude, and it looked really bad for him in the first round. He seemed to recover, then he began eating the shots a little bit better as the fight went on. Although I was pretty confused as to why Justin kept hurting Paddy and then seemingly letting him off, right? I'm not alluding to any sort of a no knockout clause for the industry plant Paddy. However, questions must be asked as to why Justin Gaethje was not forcing the issue as much as he probably could have at multiple times in that fight. But it is what it is, man. Like, the fight was a lot of fun. It was very entertaining, and I can't really complain too much about that. When it comes to a Paddy Pimblett fight, you expect to see horrible technique, right? Chin up in the air, just really weird body language. Just the way he holds his hands, the way he stands, everything, man. Paddy is just such an awkward looking fighter, and I'm kind of glad he got exposed. Even though I picked him here, it makes sense that he would get exposed here because honestly, especially after that performance, dude, Justin was beating him to a fucking pulp, landing at such a high clip on his face, and Justin isn't like typically a very accurate striker. But you can't miss against Paddy because he doesn't move his fucking head. He rarely does. There were moments towards the end of the fight where he started actually seemingly slipping his head up the center line while he was throwing shots. But for the most part, man, he's just there to be hit all day. There was actually one point as well where he got like hit with a 1-2. Maybe it was just a jab. And then he, for like 2 seconds, put his hands up, to defend himself. He actually put up a high guard for once, believe it or not. But then he just abandoned that instantaneously because obviously Paddy Pimblett doesn't believe in defense, which is respectable, I guess, right? It leads to entertaining moments, and they did scrap. He did throw down, but wow, Ilya would have murdered Paddy Pimblett, and it would have been the biggest mismatch potentially in UFC history. Holy shit, that would have been nasty. Having said that, Ilya versus Justin is still a mismatch. Paddy is just not very good. Justin is going to get cleaned out by Ilya Topuria. So yeah, this fight was always the one to determine who gets slept by Ilya next. And yeah, Justin Gaethje is going to get slept. Cool, I guess, man. We get a pretty good mismatch at the White House. Man, dude, Ilya he needs to fight Armin. I don't care about Justin Gaethje or Paddy Pimblett to fight. We need to see that fight with Armin. But yeah, he gets another legend on the resume, layup, knockout. Now, I'm not saying that the other ones were layups, but this one is 100% a layup. But congrats to Justin regardless. What is that? 2-time interim lightweight champion. That's not nothing, I suppose, right? It's not nothing, and this definitely does propel him in the conversation of like the greatest fighters to never win undisputed gold, right? Justin Gaethje does have a pretty insane resume at this point, right? He's fought the who's who, and he's delivered such wars. And man, he really fought with something to prove. He really wanted to separate himself from Paddy. He did exactly that. Paddy got beat to a pulp here. He actually took a worse beating than Tony Ferguson did, in my opinion, right? Some of those shots he was eating was fucking nasty, but credit to him for taking it and staying in the fight, right? It's crazy that he took a Tony level beating but actually stayed in the fight for pretty much the entirety of it. He did have his own moments, right? Paddy is a tough dude. He's a fucking dog, absolutely. But his unwillingness to try and get the fight to the ground until the later points of the fight when he was already beaten up and already faded, right? I don't really understand. The game plan didn't make much sense to me. And as far as where Paddy Pimblett goes from here, I would say give him Benoit Saint-Denis if Paddy wouldn't have to take a shitload of time off. So, right, the 155 landscape by the time Paddy does actually return will probably be much different, so it's hard to say where he goes from here, but most definitely a fight down in the rankings against someone worth a damn, right? Not somebody on their way out of the sport, which he just got last night, and he couldn't pass that test. So I think Paddy, he needs to fight people who are in a similar stage in their career as him. I want to see that fight. I feel like that's an intriguing fight. It's interesting to see how Paddy would possibly go against some of these younger guys in the division, like Benoit Saint-Denis and the Mauricio Rufis and the Fizievs and all that. Not that Fiziev is particularly young, but you know what I mean? They're just these guys who aren't past their primes. I want to see Paddy against guys who aren't past it, right, who are on their come up, maybe even like a Faraz ZM, but the UFC will probably protect Paddy quite a bit when he comes back and go back to giving him very selective matchups. But Justin Gaethje, obviously, is going to fight Ilya Topuria next and get his shit just completely cleaned out and then probably retire. Yeah, and that's just how it is. That's how it is. You can disagree, and if you do disagree, please let me know in the comment section below how you believe Justin Gaethje would do against Ilia, and how he would even have a shot in hell to beat Ilia Topuria, getting caught as many times as he was getting caught by the sloppy ass striking of Paddy Pimblett. It's just not a good look going into a fight with probably the biggest and best puncher we've ever had in the sport. Bleak times for Justin Gaethje coming up. But before I forget, I have to mention that Justin Gaethje was fouling quite a bit in this fight. There were eye pokes. There were just all types of fouls. So, yeah, obviously that would have played a factor here. There was one moment where it looked like the jab landed right in the eye of Paddy Pimblett, but upon replays, you see that it was just the thumb that slipped into the eye, and it was pretty nasty, man. It was really nasty. It put Paddy in quite a bit of danger, and there were other moments where Justin did foul him, right? There was a blatant eye poke in there that I remember. So, yeah, I mean, it can't go unmentioned. Yeah, Justin Gaethje definitely fouled in this one, and it probably played a factor. So, yeah, of course, I'm never really a big fan of that type of shit. How about that co-main event? Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. This is going to come as a surprise to many of you, right? Considering I am a quote-unquote hater of Sean O'Malley's, I actually don't consider this one to be a robbery. I know a lot of people are up in arms about it. And I get which rounds you'd probably give to Song Yadong, maybe the first round and the second round, I suppose, right? You have to give the third round to Sean O'Malley because of some of the shots he was landing. He actually started to piece up Song Yadong a little bit in the last minute of round 3 and separated himself there. But, yeah, man, rounds 1 and 2, I mean, especially round 1, very, very close, right? Similar to the Peter Yan fight in the sense that round 1 is considered that swing round, and I guess it really depends on who you give it up to. I'd probably have to rewatch it, but I remember thinking that Sean O'Malley could have won it. And round 2, I thought, yeah, for sure Song Yadong won. He started landing. He landed a nasty left hook at one point. The shot I was calling out, but Sean had such a good chin, right? But he did get clipped on the chin by it. But yeah, I could see a case for why Song Yadong would be given the decision. I'm not up in arms about it. I think it's far from a robbery. But I get it, right? Sean O'Malley being who he is and getting that robbery win in the past against Peter Yan, I can understand why people would be up in arms about this. It was very close though, and honestly, I didn't really see a clear winner by the end of it, to be real, aside from just the blood. If you pay attention to the blood, then yeah, Song Yadong got beat up, man. But no, it was a very close fight where neither man really managed to separate one another from each other. You know what I mean? I feel like Song Yadong should have wrestled more as well, but it was a good fight. It was honestly pretty fun, and it kind of turned out almost how I expected it to, right? It was very, very close. I expected Song Yadong to win a 29-28 decision, but yeah, that same decision took place, went the other way. Many people thought that Song won it. I totally understand. I would like you to potentially let me know in the comment section below why you believe Song Yadong won the fight, why you believe he won round 1, because, I mean, I'm on board with that 100%. I just want to know your reasons as to why, but I'm still yet to rewatch the fight. But yeah, all I'm saying is that as somebody who picked Song Yadong, I didn't actually view this one as a robbery when Sean O'Malley was given the decision. And I sure as shit wasn't surprised he was given the decision, but I wasn't upset about it. And I would like to know, yeah, let me know, please. Why do you believe, if you believe Song Yadong deserved to win, why do you believe that? But I'll be real, man. I don't think Sean O'Malley gets into title contention at any point unless the UFC gives him a title shot. He just doesn't seem like he is fighting with that same flow, that same flair, right? And obviously, it helps, or it hurts him, I guess in his case, it hurts that he's not going up against human punching bags, right? It's just crazy that this man's striking abilities were overinflated because he pieced up guys like Chris Moutinho and turned like Chito Vera into a punching bag, right? And he landed the one good shot on Aljo, and he did go toe-to-toe with Peter Yan. But I don't know, I just felt like his striking has always been a little bit overrated as far as just the level of his striking. It's very effective, he's very accurate, right, and wiry, and good at putting combinations together. But I feel like he's lost a whole lot of that. And I feel like he's just a finished product at this point. I don't see too many improvements coming in his future fights. Sean O'Malley is just Sean O'Malley at this point, and I just don't think that his skill set is good enough to get him back to the belt. But it is what it is, dude. Like, he can still deliver some fun fights. Give us Sean O'Malley versus Corey Sandhagen. Just give us that fight. It finally makes all of the sense in the world. I mean, it's made sense in the past, but just give us that fight. Now, as far as Song Yadong, man, he's been hard done by in his career, dude. I get he did get that decision win over Chito Vera that many people thought was a robbery, so maybe this is just the universe getting him back for that one. But I don't know. I feel like he's been hard done by. He doesn't take easy fights really at all. I respect Song Yadong quite a bit. It was a good performance, man. But I don't know. There are for sure a lot of fun fights for him at 135. Maybe do the Amin Zahabi fight. I believe that Song Yadong beats the shit out of Amin Zahabi. That would be kind of fun, right? And I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Maybe that one comes next. Sean O'Malley versus Corey Sandhagen. Yeah, man, I wouldn't be complaining whatsoever. But yeah, dude, good fight between Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong. I picked Song Yadong, but I'm not going to complain and cry robbery. Nah, man, the fight was very close. And it is what it is, dude. Good win for Sean O'Malley. And now I'd like to move down the card here and speak on the rest of the fights, man. Waldo Cortez-Acosta versus Derek Lewis. What a horrible performance from Derek Lewis. Like, Waldo's game plan seemed very clear from the beginning. He didn't really seem to want to let his hands go or commit to any shots early on while Derek Lewis was fresh. He was just making Derek Lewis swing and miss. And that finishing sequence, right, the step back, right, and just puts a jab on Derek Lewis's chin. Derek Lewis goes down with his Bambi legs. And then just really, really nasty killer instinct from Waldo Cortez-Acosta. That was nasty killer instinct. He recognized that Derek Lewis was wilting. And the way he just passed his guard so easily and started bombing him with shots, dude, that was nasty killer instinct. Cortez-Acosta could become a champion at heavyweight, but it's just Derek Lewis, though. And Derek Lewis doesn't have the propensity to quit if he doesn't knock you out early. And that's just how it is. And he's also 40 years old. Hey, yeah, man, Cortez-Acosta, great win, dude. The level of heavyweight is just so low, dude. Derek Lewis, oh god, it's just so crazy. He's such a fan favorite, but he does have that Anthony Smith in him. It has to be said. But now we move on to Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas, and I'll be real, I picked Natalia Silva here. I'm a fan of hers. I think she's a cutie. However, Rose Namajunas probably deserved to win that fight. From what I remember giving 2 rounds to Rose Namajunas. Can I remember exactly which rounds? No, but I remember thinking that Rose did enough to win that, and Natalia Silva kind of got gifted a win there. I'm not going to lie. In the fight itself, it wasn't very entertaining. I see what people are saying about Natalia Silva's style. I didn't agree with it against Grasso because I feel like Grasso was pushing the pace a little bit more, so that forced Natalia to fight off the back foot and show some of her skills. But in this one, she was like almost outclassed here a little bit by Rose Namajunas. And I feel like Rose, yeah, she should have been given the decision. That's my opinion, of course, right? You might disagree, but yeah, I picked Natalia Silva, and I was lucky to be right about that one. I don't believe that I was correct about that one either. So yeah, man, I mean, shitty fight, to be honest. I can't remember what happened. However, yeah, Rose Namajunas, I think, deserved to win from what I remember. Then we moved down to Arnold Allen versus Jean Silva. This one opened up the card. And this one was a lot of fun, dude. It was a barn burner. It was a ton of fun. Arnold Allen's very tough, and he tested Jean Silva. I think maybe we see the level that Jean Silva's at. He could become a champion, for sure he could. But I'm just not sure. I'm not sure, man. I feel like he's definitely like a top 5 guy, absolutely. That's undeniable. Like, to go 3 rounds at Arnold Allen and land at a pretty high clip. And Arnold Allen looked good in there, too. He really did look good, man. Jean Silva started landing his classic like uppercut 2 combination, right? The left hook to the body, 2 behind. He started landing those, but then Arnold Allen started to recognize the pattern and slip those shots, man. It was a really fun fight. Man. Arnold really gave it to Jean Silva. A well-deserved victory from Jean, though. I kind of forget the first round, man, because my internet started having issues early in the first round, so I missed like half of that round. But I remember thinking that Arnold Allen was doing enough to win it, but Jean Silva really came on in the second round, started piecing up Arnold Allen, and then probably deserved to win that third round as well. He just landed the bigger shots. Dude, Jean Silva, he's a freak. He's an absolute freak of a human being. He's very strange, but man, he can scrap. And he's a lot of fun to watch. Jean Silva is dope, and I get that people hate him because of certain things that he said and some of the behavior that he displays, but man, I'm happy to have him as a mainstay at 145. Like, whether he becomes a champion or not, the man is going to deliver entertaining scraps each and every time he goes out there. And I look forward to it, man. Jean Silva, Arnold Allen, great scrap. Then we move on to the headliner of the prelims, man. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Now, it has to be said now, at this point, like, after his last performance against Mario Batista, I said it, that he really has no chance of beating Merab or Peter Yan, and I stick by that after this performance, man. Deiveson Figueiredo, he barely threw in this fight. He barely threw whatsoever, Umar was just too afraid to take chances. There was a point in the second round, towards the end of the second round, when it looked like Umar was starting to fade once again, and Figgy's pressure was starting to get to him. I don't know. I just feel like Umar goes out there and he looks so unimpressive every single time. He looks so unimpressive, but the performances are overinflated. The quality of their performances are just way overinflated by his fan base. But when you actually watch the fight with your eyeballs, you realize that he has a very, very snappy lead kick, very snappy, and he is a good wrestler, but he wasn't even really able to get Davis and Figueiredo down at will like many were predicting, and he looks so much bigger than Figgy in there. I get maybe the fact that Figgy missed weight could have played a part in there, but man, Umar looks so much bigger, and he was very clearly the better wrestler. He was able to get Figgy down, right, and land some nice ground and pound elbows, and on the feet he didn't look too bad either. There was one moment where Umar landed a nice uppercut left hook combination, which looked pretty good, but other than that, man, he just looked too afraid to take risks. I feel like if he really pushed the action, he could have probably got Figgy out of there, but it was just another, in my opinion, man, it's going to come across as hater shit, and I get that. I've definitely hated on Umar in the past, but I'm not a hater for saying that Umar's last two performances have been lackluster. They have. He's not separated himself from even like Sean O'Malley, dude. He hasn't. For me, stylistically, yeah, Umar versus Peter Yan should definitely happen. But for him to get a title shot, another title shot, which he didn't deserve in the first place, but he get another title shot off of that performance against Figgy at this stage in his career, just would not look right. But then again, Sean O'Malley getting a title shot off of that fucking win over Song Yadong, which is very close, also wouldn't sit right. So, I mean, take your pick, really. For me, I would just do Umar because of the stylistic clash. But then again, the Sean O'Malley rematch would be great. But I think Peter Yan would just fucking destroy Sean O'Malley. I think you do the same to Umar, though. Man, either way, Peter Yan is feasting for his next title defense. Yeah, man. Half decent fight, though, I suppose. Then we move on to Atiba Gauthier versus Andre Pulaev. And, dude, Atiba Gauthier was proper tested here. I was worried about him fading in the second round. Around the second round, like, Pulaev really started to put shots together. But it's just every single time Atiba Gauthier would land something, it was so consequential. Pulaev would get put on his ass, like, almost every time, dude. But Atiba Gauthier, I do feel like his style is somewhat limited, but he's so young that those improvements will come. And the fact that he is that good, he is this technical, and he can go 3 rounds, right, while getting his face kind of pieced up. He was eating left hands all night, man. He's very much there to be hit. He's pretty much all offense, and it makes sense when you look like Atiba Gauthier. Yeah, like, you're going to be all offense. But was he exposed? No, I wouldn't say he's exposed. He's 23 years old, and he's relatively inexperienced in MMA. Dude, he was always going to be tested at some point, and it's better for it to happen at this stage in his career than later. Like, it's better for him to finally face that test in, like, his first 5-rounder where he actually gasses and gets finished late, you know what I mean? So for him to go 3 rounds like that against Pulaev, it was a good fight, good back and forth. Pulaev did very well here. He did very well, and the big difference maker was just him getting knocked down, right? Him going down to a couple of those shots really did give him the fight, because if he didn't go down a few of those times, then the argument would have been there to give him the fight. But Atiba Gauthier, he deserved to get the victory, was not exposed. He's not some kind of a fraud whatsoever. He's 23 years old, and I think people need to understand that yeah, he was built up by the UFC quite heavily, but he's still only a 23-year-old man with a lot of time to go and improve, and he will make those improvements, I believe, man. He's a very measured fighter, very calm in there, and when he starts letting his hands go, it's a scary sight. Yeah, it's like not his best performance of all time, but as I said, 23, he will improve, and that is a valuable experience for him to go all 3 rounds like that. Yeah, man, I think it's better for him to have a 3-round, closely contested battle like that rather than knock him out in the first round, because what would that teach him? You know what I mean? Atiba Gauthier, good performance. Pulaev, good performance. The UFC should keep him around because he's obviously very skilled. That left body kick was nasty. Nikita Krylov versus Modestas Bosquez. Dude, Krylov came in here locked in. Bosquez, everyone thought Bosquez would win because Krylov getting chinned a few times. But Bosquez, I guess we just realized he's not on the level of striking of a Dominic Reyes, or doesn't have the level of power of a Bogdan Guskov, you know what I mean? Yeah, he got outclassed here, and it was a fun one. There were some fun back and forth moments, but then that point down to the ground moment, Krylov lands a big right overhand, if I remember correctly, puts Bosquez down, finishes him in the 3rd round, buzzer beater. There were like 3 buzzer beaters or 4 buzzer beaters on this whole card. It was the card of the buzzer beaters. But yeah, great comeback performance from Nikita Krylov there. And Alex Perez beat the hell out of Charles Johnson. I know that Alex Perez missed weight, so it's hard to give him full credit for that, but holy shit, dude. After that first big left hook landed, Charles Johnson was on skates for the remainder of that fight, and it was scary, man. I feel like it could have been stopped earlier, but it was almost like the perfect stoppage, so no complaints there. Good win for Alex Perez, but next time, you should make weight, dude. Josh Hokit mauled Denzel Freeman and got that buzzer beater walk-off middle finger KO. Middle finger KO, man. This guy walks. He dog-walked Denzel Freeman. And Josh Hokit is a serious problem for heavyweights, dude. The pace that he can put on these guys, he really does fight like Colby Covington, but with a lot more danger in his hands. He can crack. He's very fast for heavyweight as well. Josh Hokit is, like, unironically, a problem at the heavyweight division. And his fucking post-fight speech, it was goofy. It was funny. This dude said N-word, please. That shit is funny, man. Josh Hokit, I get it's forced, and he's biting off other fighters who have come before him, like Chael Sonnen and Colby Covington, and that he's biting off these. Absolutely, he is. But at least he's trying. At least he's being funny. At least he's fucking putting himself out there like this. And you may not like it, but it makes me chuckle. It does. It makes me chuckle, dude. It does. It makes me fucking chuckle. And he's going to be pushed up the heavyweight division nice and fast because he talks shit and he has a personality. Josh Hokit is actually a problem. He's fucking proper good. This dude is actually really, really good. And then we move down to the card opener. It's just crazy that we lost so many fights on this card, man. Alexander Hernandez versus Michael Johnson was going to be a banger, but suspicious betting line activity once again. Would you look at that? But anyway, Adam Fugit versus Ty Miller. Ty Miller looked great. He really did look great. KO'd him in the first round. I thought he'd get him out of there in the second or third. I forget what I predicted specifically, but it was either the second or third round. But Ty Miller, man, those boxing combinations are nasty. He has very, very good hands. How far can he go in the division? I have no clue. I really have no clue. Adam Fugit isn't the biggest test in the UFC, but it is that test to see if you're on the UFC level. And we see that Ty Miller is absolutely on the UFC level at the very, very least. Great performance. Such saucy fucking hands from this dude. I love his style. Ty Miller, I'm a fan, and I'll be tuning in for all of his fights going forward. But that does conclude my thoughts on UFC 324. Very entertaining card overall. There were some stinkers on there. Natalia Silva, Rose Namajunas. There were some robberies. There were some weird moments, right? Awkward moments in the commentary booth as well, commentary desk, whatever you want to call it. But it is what it is, man. It was cool to return back to watching MMA, to watching the UFC in particular. Right? We've all been jonesing for it. And let me know in the comment section below whether it delivered. Does it feel the same now that it's on Paramount Plus? I'm really not a fan of the excessive ad placements and all that. It does kind of take away from the experience for me, but I guess that's just how, I don't know, that's just how businesses run, I suppose. But yeah, it is definitely at odds with the viewer, especially if you're paying for Paramount Plus. We should not be bombarded with ads, but hey man, it is what it is. Just let me know in the comment section below, what did you think about UFC 324? What do you think about the Paramount deal now that we've actually witnessed the product? Just let me know whatever your thoughts are in general. And as always, guys, I appreciate you watching. And I'll see you in the next one.